is between this sky god and you, it does curtail your curiosity. It cuts off a source of wonder. The loveliness of the world in its wondrousness is not apparent to me in Islam or Christianity and all the other major religions.
Although established as a secular state 240 years ago, the United States has been viewed as a Christian nation. With atheism and secularism on the rise and church attendance on the decline, the religious culture of America is quickly shifting. So without a God to guide the minds of these people, where exactly do they get their morals from, to know the difference between right and wrong? To find out, we spoke with both atheists and religious thinkers alike, to find out where they feel it comes from.
Matt Dillahunty is a passionate atheist living in Austin who previously served as the president of the atheist community of Austin from 2006 to 2013.
When we asked him about where atheists get their morality from, this is what he said.
Oh, that one's easy.
Yeah.
It's probably the most common question. As a matter of fact, the first few debates I did, no matter what the subject was, ultimately the debate turned into a discussion about morality. Most people will, have been ingrained, cultured to believe that morality comes from God or from a Bible or from a Quran or some holy book. And all they're really doing is pointing to a list of instructions. There's no thought or reason behind why those instructions are the right ones or if those instructions are the right ones. Secular moral systems, I gave a talk for years about the superiority of secular morality, because secular moral systems have the goal of trying to promote well-being. And we can change our mind. It's flexible, and we change our mind by evidence and argument, hopefully. And all of the objections that religionists raise with regard to secular morals, those same objections exist within religious moralities. They can't solve the problem either, because they're like, oh, well, if it's just a matter of your opinion, then we have no way to solve this. Okay, what if my opinion is I don't agree with your holy book? You can't solve that either. You can keep pointing and saying it's right, but it's no different than just offering up your view. For me, I think morality has been made more difficult than it needs to be.
When asked how the religious perceive where the atheists get their morals from, this is what Matt said.
But I can tell you what I've heard. The first is, there are some people who just think we don't have any sound moral structure. There are others who think that we have co-opted the cultural moral structure which they attribute to their religion.
Dr. James Puglisi is the Associate Director of Campus Ministry at St. Edward's University. His job is to ensure the spiritual well-being of students regardless of their religion.
When asked where he thinks atheists get their morals from, this is what he said.
Would assume that is on the basic principles of human compassion, human dignity, the observations of the world around them, capacity to love and to see people love. Those are, the common struggle of all individuals with those that are around them.
We asked Dr. Puglisi where he thinks atheists get their morality from.
Understanding of the world is, I believe all people are created in the image of God, regardless of what they believe. So trying to say that in a manner that's not imposing my belief on somebody else. But I still view that everybody is, from my own faith perspective and Christian tradition, that all people are created in the image of God.
Lastly, we asked Dr. Puglisi whether or not he believes that atheists can be good without religion.
Yes, it depends on how you're defining good and to what, degree of, are you talking about basic human interaction? Yes, absolutely. People of all backgrounds, faith, non-faith perspectives, again, have the capacity to love. They marry, they have children, they love their children. That is something that is innate to them.
With those two perspectives in mind, we took a trip north to the University of Texas at Austin, where we sat in on the weekly meeting for their chapter of the Secular Student Alliance.
How does this topic affect you, or how does this topic affect the community or a community that they're a part of representing?
We sat down with some of the students after the meeting to discuss what they think about the topic.
I don't necessarily know misperceptions about the secular community. I do know about misperceptions about the atheist community. We get all the kind of like, oh, you're evil, you hate religion, you just, you don't want anyone, you just want an excuse to sin, like all those kinds of things, which absolutely aren't true.
Absolutely. And my experienced members of my family, people from my hometown, people I've met here, they hear the word atheist and they immediately assume that they have a hesitation, and they often ask, where do your morals come from? They have this idea that because we don't have a religion, how can we know what's right and wrong? How can we really know anything if we haven't had a supreme being dictate to us what is true?
For example, do not murder. Like, I think every reasonable person agrees that murdering a random person is an unethical act. The difference is, I would say it's unethical because my standard of morality is hurting someone else or their property. That's the central axiom. A religious person might say, oh, well, I don't want to go to hell.
One of the big things that I've gotten, and I've been surprised that I've gotten it from, really well-educated people, is this idea that because I do not acknowledge the existence of any gods, that I must have some kind of issue with moralities, having a particular morality. It's not uncommon for people, to honestly ask, not like, oh, I'm trying to trap you, but to honestly ask, well, then where do your morals come from?
With some great insight from the members of SSA UTA, we came back to St. Edward's to talk to some students and see how they felt about the issue.
What do you think atheist/secularist individuals base their morality off of?
The media and what they see around them. They are molded by that.
Like myself, my sister is atheist, so I try to be educated about the subject. But yeah, many people believe that they will I don't know. It's not healthy to have a friend that's atheist, I guess.
Atheism was very cultic, that they negative. I guess that's the way I grew up learning that it was very negative.
I actually don't know if I was ever really religious in the first place. My family, religion was just a non-factor. We didn't really go to church. We didn't really talk about it that much. It just wasn't a thing. So I know some of my younger sisters are religious, but I'm not, and it's not really been an issue. It's just not a part of my life. I think morality comes from the same place, really. You learn your morality from your parents, and I think religion is more of just a way for parents or community to teach morality. And so if you grow up in a religious family and that's just one way of teaching your children about morality, I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think it's the same in atheist families. Also, I mean, morality develops as you grow older, and I think especially, come to college, you take an ethics course, you really question some different viewpoints on things. So I think just because I'm not religious and just because people aren't religious doesn't mean that they don't have a basis for the morality. I think it all comes from what you've learned in your life experiences.
After speaking with Matt Dillahunty, Dr. Puglisi, the members of the SSA UTA, and students from St. Edward's, we've come to a consensus that atheists get their morality from either their parents or things they have experienced in the past. Although many religious thinkers believe that a higher being gives them a sense of right and wrong, we've discovered that our abilities of differentiating between right and wrong come from within, rather than an external source.
I get my limits from a rational consideration of the consequences of my actions. That's how I determine what's moral. I get it from a foundation that says my actions have an effect on those people around me and theirs have an effect on me. And that if we're going to live cooperatively and share space, we have to recognize that impact. And my freedom to swing my arm ends at their nose.